I'm gonna start it off, and then it's gonna feed to your chair, and so you all need to select who you wish your chair to be. The chair will report out, and that's their number one function to the board, and during the 5 to 6 time slot for the board meetings, where you've done some executive sessions, you've done some workshops, then that will be the time the committees report out to the whole board. So, who would you like? It doesn't have to be a vote, it can't be a vote here, it just, who do you think needs to do it?
Who wants to speak?
I feel like Ty has been passionate about this for a long time.
I'm good with
And
that.
I think I just think it's very important to him. And
He's
think
smiling,
you're-
that's it.
I'm all for that.
It knows it means a lot. This,
Good,
a lot of these things on here have been things we've been talking about. I'm happy. Thank you.
thank you, Ty. Thank you so much. All right, now, the next is, Robert and David have done the lion's share of the work on this one. Deanna wanted to come because this is of interest because of the instructional side of the school district. So, just to kind of lay it up for you, and then I'm gonna feed it to them, is we're going to give you kind of the macro view. Jennifer, you can sit over here. Come.
You're the one writing the checks, girl.
We need you. Oh, Jennifer, happy. Just gonna listen in. So, and this is taking a lot of work on these two gentlemen's part, so again, thank you so much. But anyway, Robert will go through kind of a macro picture by campus of how much is in the tier 1s and 2s. And these are in 3 tiers when you start to see the detail. The detail is the colorful sheet that is the green, yellow, and blue. And David has put this one together. The things that are yellow, correct me if I'm wrong, are the top priorities.
Correct.
The greens are your next priorities.
Correct.
And your blues are your third priorities. This is a composite of several things. There has been a list that's been out there for, I know, a couple of years, maybe a longer time, that had some of these items on there, so those are here. It is a composite of us walking every facility in the school district except for, only for me, the back gym and the storage facility, but we have walked everything else in the whole school district. And then principal input or departmental input was probably the other one. There were items that have been taken off this list because they're gonna be a matter of work orders with David's department, and as we did the walkthroughs, they wrote that list, and so they're working through those at this point in time.
Now, work orders will be items under what dollar amount? How does that work? Or is it not a dollar amount?
It's not really not a dollar
It's
amount,
part
it's
of
just
the
things we
budget.
go out and do on a day.
It's part of his budget,
Gotcha.
Okay.
the budget that you guys approved, so it's all approved, and it's just part of it. It's what they do every day.
Okay, then, and just real quick, does that mean that next year when we do the budget, we need to look at the budget? I know we're looking at the capital improvement budget, but also a bigger budget if they're gonna in-house a bunch of stuff? Jennifer?
Possibly.
I mean, we wanna talk about that.
Okay, yeah, I know we have the capital improvement, but I'm talking about just the budget for in-house stuff. Cause
Yeah.
those are the stuff y'all can do quickly.
Right, so we budget, for lack of a better word, a little fluff number for M&O,
Mhm.
and that's what we'll do. So if it was, replace a fence and it's 50 feet of fence, we just do that,
Okay.
'cause I've got that covered.
Not a good word. We don't use the word fluff.
Well, I said for the lack of it.
The budget is structured as such to meet the demands of just normal wear and tear items that we can replace at a moment's notice. So we do have some contingency in the budget to replace those things that come up
Okay.
throughout the year.
Well stated.
I love contingency.
Yes.
And then there's another group that's gonna be at the end, and that grouping at the end are things that you may wanna think about for a future bond. And, we know that we don't have, any debt rolling off until 2022, I believe Jennifer said. But you need to go ahead and start thinking about that next bond election, especially in a fast growth school district. So we'll talk about that at the end of the meeting. And so that's kind of your layup, and then Robert's gonna talk about what kind of funding sources we have to fund this. I'm gonna give you, my goal for the night is to try to get through the priority 1s and 2s, and try to make sure that we've got a real tight list that everybody at this table is comfortable with. We should have funding for that if we can do that. If you wanna go to 3s, that's fine. As they go through this list, if there are things that you want to add, delete, change to another category, that is absolutely your option as board. Please give us feedback on that. So with that, Robert, I'll begin with you.
Okay. Well, as was mentioned, I'm gonna give you kind of the macro 100,000-foot view here in the next couple of minutes. So starting at the macro, you know, you have just less than 200 square miles within Belton ISD. I think in the 2025 it says 198.6 square miles. And within that boundaries of Belton ISD, we maintain, grounds maintains about 583 acres of turf. And we also have insured through TASB just over $2 million of square footage for facilities. And according to TASB's record, and according to our insurance records, we have 134 buildings that make up that just over 2 million square feet of space. So what we did is we walked through all the campuses, plus transportation, plus support services, plus a lot of athletic kinds of buildings. And principals and department chairs were kind of given the opportunity to identify those things that they wanted addressed. And we just literally made a laundry list of all those things that needed to be addressed. Some of those, as Dr. Battershell mentioned, are work order kinds of things. Some of those were just, you just need to put in a PO and purchase it and we'll come out and install it kind of thing. So those aren't necessarily represented on this list, although there are some small things, like one of the things that elementary principals said was, well, the crank, kids can't turn the crank for the towel dispenser. So we've got that on the list. I think it's a $500 amount. But that will be changed, and we're working with the vendor, the paper towel vendor, because they give us those dispensers once we purchase the product. So the prioritization was based on kind of three things. One was safety, the second was equity, and the third was kind of capacity. Because if it's a low-hanging item that can be knocked out fairly easily, then it's probably going to be a priority one type item. The movements across the tiers, I mean, these are not bright line demarcations. So you can get into tier one and you say, well, wait a second, I see something on tier two that I think should be in tier one. We would probably agree with you. It's hard to draw a really bright line between tier one and 2 and 2 and 3, and vice versa. And there's no magic to how something ended up in tier 1, 2, and 3, other than our prioritization based on the parameters that I kind of already mentioned. So, what you have in your packet is, first of all, kind of a campus dates. And what we tried to give you is the enrollment, pretty much as of October. These may not be exact snapshot enrollments, but they're pretty close. And then when the building was built, and if it had, you know, if it was built and then it's had multiple updates, we just put multiple updates rather than list 1961, 62, and so forth. When you get into the question of equity, I'm going to tell you that as you walk the facilities, one of the things that kind of jumps out at you is the cleanliness of the facilities and how well maintained they are, irrespective of age. At the same time, when you start thinking about equity, age plays a factor in that, because an older building is just an older building, and wear and tear accelerates on it, and so it's just harder to keep those up and comparable to more modern buildings. So, in large part, the equity piece is kind of age-related. We've taken the prioritized categories and rolled them up into dollar amounts, and that's what you have here in this sheet. And so you can see the campus, the priority, and then the estimated cost. Now, I will also tell you on these estimated costs, these are truly estimates. These are not actual costs. We think we've done a fairly decent job of estimating, but at the same time, there are things in this, particularly on the security priority. With security, a lot of it was related to technology, and a lot of it has to do with elementaries were never really outfitted with cameras. And yet you go to the elementaries, and the first thing the principals say is, I need some additional cameras. So we've included cameras in this list as pretty much a level 1 priority, or a tier 1 priority. That's an example of an item that we've got a dollar amount in there, but it can vary once we get in and really start looking at the details of where should those cameras be, what kind of file servers are needed, how much cabling is gonna be required, all those kinds of things. So while the dollar amounts we think are fairly close, there could be some variance in those. So from this, you can say, okay, so the total for Belton High School 9 was $73,500, and it's made up of $38,500 in tier 1 and $35,000 in tier 2, or I'm sorry, tier 3. So then you can say, well, I wanna know what those items are. Then you can look to this list, and it lines out exactly what those particular items are. So I'm gonna move on into this list and tell you that you will see some blanks. And for example, and this is where it, in my mind, gets a little complicated, because as we walk these campuses with principals, for example, Beck's, the principal says, well, we need more storage space because pre-K curriculum requires a lot of space. We have a lot of things that we need to store. Well, they've maxed out their storage space, so how do you address that? So what is the scope to add more storage space, especially at a campus like Beck's? Similarly, it says add a staff restroom. How do you do that? Yeah, so a lot of these will default to kind of an architectural design. Who knows what the dollar amount could be on those kinds of issues. So we've, in those cases, left those blank. At the same time, and I'm drawing your attention to Miller Heights, one of the things that the principal talked about over in Miller Heights, if you look, it's on page 3, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items down. Need more office space at the front office for intervention and counseling. And we put a dollar amount out there of $25,000. We prioritized it as number 1. In fact, every item for Miller Heights is a priority 1 item. But again, is that $25,000? It could be. Again, it depends on how you define the scope. So there are a few items like that. I just want to point it out. A few items like that that probably still need to be defined. So as you go through this list with the detail, you can go all the way back to the back page. And what is represented in the color-coded items are in-house staff's determination of cost and kind of a rank order on the project. Down in this last page, under the kind of grayed out area, those are the architect's proposed numbers as per those projects. And so let me point to one of those, the second one down. Long-term solution for Tiger Fieldhouse press box. Well, it shows 500 to 850,000. If you'll turn back to the first page, we have Tiger press box on here, $40,000. We think it's both. We think, one, there's an immediate need to kind of go in there and address some things for the press box. At the same time, there's a longer range need, which Dr. Battershell is indicating might be a bond or other approach. And that is to address the press box in a way that really makes it functional. Because for, what is that amount, $40,000, you can do a little bit, you can help it, but you can't really fix it. Once you get into talking about the press box, or you're also talking about the grandstands, because it's sitting up there on top of the grandstands, and so it's, everything's kind of connected. So those kinds of issues are represented under that grayed out area for architects. So you can see that in that list, you've got several athletic things, the swim center. we've got the swim center on our prioritized list for equipment. If you go into the swim center, it's got those big, huge sand filters, it's got, pumps, strainers, all of that stuff is starting to decay. We think we need to replace those things now. In fact, you can, in fact, two of the straps on the strainers have actually kind of disintegrated. We're holding the cap on with sandbags, which we shouldn't be doing. So, some of those kinds of things need to be addressed immediately. That's why we have this swim center equipment. It's a line item with the priority one. At the same time, the whole swim center probably needs to be thought about and considered. And the architecture's, giving you several different options there.
Well, last year when
They
they
can
gave us
be-
that list, there was multi-tiered
Yeah,
prices for different phases. But
right,
knowing structurally, we're concerned a little bit about the structure itself.
yeah.
Knowing that that's kind of down the road, I remember
Yeah.
us talking about that last year.
That's a concern.
And so that, the equipment in this swim center is kinda aged and needs to be replaced, so we've got that in there, both in the long-range list and the short-range, the priority one list. CTE is on there, we also have some CTE items under Belton High School. I think Dr. Mattershall will probably wanna talk about, a long-range plan for CTE. And then we have elementary playground equipment, and that includes, equipment and fall protection, and really upgrading elementary playgrounds across the district. I will tell you that when you talk to elementary principals, that's always pretty high on their list. They want additional equipment. They want the fall protection that they see at Charter Oak. And I have to admit, that's great stuff. I mean, it's nice. And they also want canopies so that the kids are out there playing and they're under some shade. They also want that. So, so with that, I think we could just kind of, we don't have to read through each one of these, but go through each one and see if you have any questions about what is it that is contemplated here. So we can start with athletics.
One of the things for you all to think about as you go through these lists is, especially when it comes to Southwest Elementary School, to Miller Heights, Swim Center, Press Box, Career Tech, those types of things, is how much money do you wanna sink into now, knowing that you're probably gonna need to rebuild them in the future? So I don't have an answer for you, it's just something for you to think about as Ronald goes through that list.
Well, and also too, with our meetings with the demographic people, we've already looking at 5 years from now, we're gonna have the numbers and the need for another elementary school. And we have to probably assume that south is probably where it'll be. So then, what does that do to Southwest and Miller Heights?
Correct.
You would hope that you could consolidate some of those kids, from each, maybe
Right.
sell that to the county or figure out a multi-use facility for that. So that's something to look at down the road too.
Right.
But I just know that 5 years is a whole generation of kids going through a campus.
That's right.
So we have to address some of the needs that they have.
And those are exactly our conversations, Ty. How far do you take it, knowing that you're gonna have kids that are gonna be in those buildings for a long time? And even once a bond is approved, it's still a year or two before you ever can get back into it.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and do those big items spinning off of what might be a bond later on, because you may want to think through those, and I won't go through a lot of detail on them, but as you go through this. So let me hit those. There's about 7 of them. The first one was the press box. In walking through that press box, you need a new press box. And it's rare that
I've
I
heard
will
it's
say
bad.
that,
I
but
haven't been in there, but I've heard it's bad.
you need a new press box. And, it's not ADA compliant. The trouble is, it is part of those stands. And so, again, how you address that with this, but that would be one that I would say would be on a bond. And I'll also say athletic items are hard bond items. A lot of people don't like to approve athletic things, and they don't like to approve simple offices either. But, again, packaging will be important at that time. The second one that I would like to proffer to you is Miller Heights. Miller Heights is a little campus. It's just a little building. It's an old building. At some point in time, it just needs to come down and it'll need to be built. I mean, point blank, you might need to put a 2-story campus on that side of town. I don't know what property you own over there, and that will take up the kids that you have over there, plus it'll allow you some growth. The other one is Southwest Elementary. And out of the two, Southwest for me is in worse shape than Miller Heights. Miller Heights building was really in pretty good shape, but Southwest is just this weird add-on design, multiple layer design, and there's only so much you're gonna be able to renovate on that, because it's just, you can't change that design at this point in time. So that's another one that for your future, I would suggest demo, rebuild. The third one is what you were saying, Ty, is you are gonna have to have another elementary school, maybe two, but one definitely going out towards the dam over there. You've got huge growth in that area, and there's gonna have to be something over there, and maybe a middle school at some point in 5 years, you know, who knows? But anyway, that's another one. The other one, is Leon Heights. Leon Heights is a baby, it's a baby campus. It's got 240-something kids on it, and I've talked a lot about that one. And for the future, that campus needs to be converted into something else, but it really doesn't need to be a kid campus anymore. I'll put it on the record, you know, I'm an interim, I can do that, but I just, I do.
No, that's been discussed, that's, back to Deanne, you can probably, or Dr. Muller can probably tell us, based on even what Templeton gives us, that number is gonna continue to decline, because that is not full of young people having babies in that neighborhood.
That topic though has brought fierce opposition through
Right.
the years that may be decreasing a little bit as the neighborhoods change.
Right.
But I know that it, you know, back prior to us, whenever they
Yeah,
discussed
6 years ago when it was even discussed, I remember people being mad, but it was 4 years ago, I think, or 5 years ago, when Scott and White actually approached us and were like, hey, do you by chance wanna buy this? And we were like, oh, no, do you wanna buy this? Cause we'll give you our building and we're gonna do that. So yeah, so that would be one you'd have to kinda look at, and you Band-Aid it until some point you decide what you're gonna, I mean, it's not gonna get any bigger.
And for
I
you,
heard some comments at the end of the last, when we were drawing the boundaries. I think kind of once we finalized everything, we got through everything, then I started to hear a little bit, we should have maybe looked at Leon Heights. I think as starting, maybe some acceptance that it needed to happen.
and you had some instructional concerns that's going on, and that has to be at the forefront of all of our thoughts.
yeah, that's exactly right. When the campus gets so small, you've got a great principal over there, great staff, but when they get so small, there's only so much you can do instructionally, because if you have, example, you have a kid that doesn't get along with a teacher, it happens every once in a while, personality conflict, she has no other place to put the kid. I mean, she's only got 2 sections per grade level. You know, as far as a professional learning community, you have 2 in your professional learning community, and those again really don't enrich you instructionally. So you're right, Ty, it's not just the facility side of it, it's the instructional side of it, campuses that are too small.
It's hard to serve students in special populations, and so our goal is always to serve students at their home campus. But again, when populations are so small, it's hard to you think about a resource teacher, and you might only have 1 or 2 children, and it's hard.
It's not feasible to keep a special ed instructor.
But then you also don't want to move children off of a home campus for services if you don't have to. So it's a challenge.
So that would be my number 4, I think.
I think the hardest campus to replace is gonna be Southwest, because of that neighborhood being so tight-knit, and those kids all walk to school. So if we did build something off of Shanklin, those kids are all gonna be bused down. That's gonna really disrupt their little way of living down there.
Yeah, my suggestion is build it back on site,
Wow.
because you do have a neighborhood there, and it's a young neighborhood, it's going to remain.
It's always gonna be a young
Yes,
That's
it
right,
is.
it's not going to age out. And you do need to have a campus that well serves kids that are right in that neighborhood, and moving it out, I don't think will do that for you instructionally. So my other one, and my number 5, is Career and Tech Center. You've got a new auto tech center, which is very nice. It's a standalone building, but right now most of the classes for Career Tech are in the main building because they have no space.
Right.
Their lab space is everything, and there's some of it listed in what Robert's gonna go through with you, but I mean, truly, we can fix them up, but they need a new facility, they really do. My other one, number 6, is, again, you probably need another elementary school or middle school on your south side. Swim center is my number 7. There's only so much that you can do. The construction of that was interesting, I've not been in it before, but, you don't have a long-term building. That surface was really never meant to be a 20-year building, it just isn't. And we probably really utilized the 12 years, I think it's there, what's it there, 12? So we've truly utilized the 12 years and probably got a good 12 out of it, but you're not gonna get to a 20.
So, before Patrick, the whole thing went down with him, he and I had a couple discussions about this, and he really had worked this in his mind. Because to redo this facility, you have to have somewhere for these kids to do their thing. And it's not like we're doing a soccer field where you just go find another green
Right.
patch of grass.
Correct.
So he had proposed, you know, when you get into the big money one, building the outdoor facility with the diving and everything, while we're redoing the other one, you know, building the outside one first, have an outside facility. So he really had thought this process through and talked to me about it a couple of times, because you can't shut that program down for a whole year.
Correct.
So that's gonna be a tough one
You can use other
logistically.
pools, you know, the city of Temple, now since Belton ISD is a big part of the city of Temple, they do have pools and you can use those, that's what we did in TISD when we started looking at that project. But the swim center is going to be one, I think you can still use your pool wells, you don't have a diving well in there, but I think you can keep that part, but as far as everything else, it basically just needs to be, whooshed and then move it in.
Prior to the construction of the pool, what did we use? UMHBs?
That's where my wife was on the first ever swim team.
That's right. And they rebuilt that one,
Yeah,
and I don't, and the only reason I say that is because I don't know of a school, every school I know that has a pool wants to get rid of their pool. They want it to be owned by the city, owned by someone else, because of the maintenance on a pool is just, it is what it is. Like the $350,000 for equipment, I believe we actually, maybe we didn't approve it. I thought we approved that in the last school board meeting, and it was just a question of, well, did it break? No, it's wear and tear on pool equipment. It just doesn't last. It's a water pump.
The
essentially.
problem here though, and
Well,
I'll put this, the problem in Belton is that we really probably couldn't do a joint thing with the city because their budget is.
Oh, no, there's the deal. Every time it happens in the schools that I know that it's happened, what's funny is, about 2 years into it, the city's usually trying to hand it over to the school and be like, hey, we want out of this deal, you know, and the school's like, no, how about you take it over?
You know, but like if you were in Georgetown or Round Rock or somewhere like that, there may be more funds there to do a joint.
Right.
And I don't know, you know, what Mary Hard Baylor would do.
Yeah, I don't know what UMHB would do either. I mean, they used our football fields for a while, right?
Long
Yeah.
time.
When you're running a 6A district, the expectation's gonna be that you have a pool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I'm just point blank, it is. And I think if you were, you know, a 4A, yeah, absolutely, I mean, you can, but at 6A, swimming is a huge part of your athletic program.
Yeah,
too.
a lot of
So
kids
when it was built, did we know the structure wasn't gonna do very well over time, or?
Didn't think about it, not really.
Yeah, from everything I have read, I don't think it was ever discussed. And it never became a real subject until the Dallas Cowboys facility failed.
Right.
And then we realized we had the same structure.
Because it was built to spec based on that facility, which was up to code.
Right.
It was built to code. And then the Cowboys thing happened. And that's when they started looking at it and saying, oh no, we have to replace it. But it wasn't that old. It was
Right.
only a few years. Like, we can't replace it. We just built it. And it was built to code at that point.
It is a very cost-effective building,
Mhm.
and it has done that. It has absolutely done that for Belton ISD. But there's a point in time where it can't do that anymore, it's just like an older building, same
Right.
thing, it's different type of construction. But that will be one that we'll need to, if you're really gonna do it right, it's gonna have to be on the bond.
That's roll into one.
Without a
But the
doubt.
350,000 gets our equipment up to where we need it to be.
We think so.
That's just maintenance.
Yeah, so that helps keep get the sandbags off and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it replaces his trainers,
Now, looking at the field house, the 40 grand, that's just gonna go in and just paint and pretty things up a little bit, right?
maybe move some walls around
Yeah.
and.
It's-
Didn't we
it's not
just do
much.
some of that though?
That was in that old soccer field house.
Oh, that was the soccer one where the boys didn't have stalls on the
We
wall.
did, it didn't look like it.
That was
No.
the worst.
It's 150.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the-
yeah, 150,000.
Did you ever go back and
Old,
look at
now
it?
this is the old baseball field house. Now, this is where, Cornblum and them had their
Yes.
kids. That's where my son
Pictures on the
dressed.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and y'all are gonna renovate that to do what with it?
The roof needs to be replaced, it's a metal roof, we can replace that, in-house. And then we'll knock all the interior partition walls out, those restrooms need to go.
Right.
Those are
It just,
military style
it
restrooms.
just, yeah, it just needs to be cleaned up, and then we can decide what are we gonna put back in here and compartmentalize that.
Now, where are we gonna put the Broncos dressing room when they play their home games? Have y'all already figured that out? Is it gonna be further south?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think one of the thoughts on the baseball field house is Belton Middle School won't have a weight room. And so they were thinking that maybe they could put a weight room in there for the middle school,
Yeah.
since they're close.
So, and then my number 8, I'm still working. It's playground equipment. I think there are certainly things that we can do, but I would suggest to you that you standardize your playgrounds across the entire school district and work towards that end. And those playgrounds, I mean, you can come in at $350, you can come in at $1 million, it just depends on how you wanna build them out. But you as a board, with your staff, you really need to determine what level of playground you want, and it has to be ADA compliant, all of them, not just one or two. So those are my big 8. And with that, then I'm gonna feed it back to Robert, let him do what he needed to do. But I did want you to keep those 8 in mind as you hear all this.
As we start going through these things, back to Ty's point, we do have for Miller Heights, Southwest, and Leon Heights, an amount in there for HVAC air conditioning. You know, it's the whole argument about can we do it, can we not do it?
Right.
We need to investigate it a little bit further. We think that perhaps we can, but that's a bare bones kind of Lockridge priest coming in and we said.
It's just, it's one of
HVAC.
those equity issues, right?
Right.
And it continually gets pushed down the road because we've got a new school coming online or a new
Right.
thing coming online, and it's never gonna get it. I mean, until we don't have those schools anymore and we build new schools, I feel like if we don't do something, those kids will never have air conditioning in their gym.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable with that. I just feel
I
like,
didn't even know. I was at Meet the Teacher summer before last, and Shelley Split River walked up to me and
Yeah.
introduced herself. And, she said, do you know that we don't have air conditioning in our gym? I said, I had no idea. We built these Taj Mahal $20 million elementaries in the desert in the 1950s over here. I was taken aback. And, so that's kind of been my pet project. I think I mentioned that to our former superintendent so many times. I think she wanted to punch me in the nose, me saying it so many times about it. But I just keep thinking about her and those kids. And I mean, yeah, we may build another one and get it on the ground in 6 years from now, but you gotta have a little kid that's gonna go all the way through elementary school. There's gonna be days when they can't do PE,
many days.
and they need to do PE.
And it's mandated by law, and they have to go to the library
Yeah.
for PE. It's not even PE.
Well, but at these amounts, and I mean,
That's, yeah.
you know, 50 and 55,000, that's very, you know, it's doable. Remember when we looked at it, we were told 750,000. At that point, it was just rip the whole building down and start over if
That's
you're gonna
what they
do
were
that.
gonna do, was skin them and start over again, kinda.
Yeah,
They can't do that.
but you said there's some code issue that you'll have to work through?
Well, so the large number that you saw, if this goes and we have, whether it's O'Connor Robinson or any other engineering company design it, they have to bring it up to the international, the new energy code, which requires you spray foaming the roof, the walls, skylights, a lot of other things other than just HVAC. I have talked to a local architect that says there's a rule that would allow us to do it in-house. I feel 90% confident, just based on previous conversation with the city of Belton, that they would allow us to do it. It'd be much like the air conditioning that we installed at the old Lakewood gym.
Right.
We installed that ourselves. We had Lockridge Police fabricate the ductwork for us. We installed it. It works great. So something along those lines is we can do.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
We just wanna make double darn sure that
Yeah.
we're all.
We'd have to
okay
get the
with
city
that.
of Belton to sign off on it
Yes.
before we ever,
Yeah.
I mean, we could approve it in a package, but then they would have to sign off on it before you did it, and halfway through there said, hey, we're not gonna let you finish this.
Right.
I just think we need to put the kids first, those kind of decisions.
And I didn't see, but let me ask, because this has been something that's been on our list for so long. What would be our time frame to do the air conditioning? Did we have that in here? 6 weeks?
Yeah, and the good thing about that, you can actually, you don't have to wait till summer to do it.
Right?
I mean, that's something we can start tomorrow if we wanted to. We get ductwork fabricated, we pour a concrete pad, we set the unit, wired up, turn it on.
I wanna take the timelines though, I wanna circle back to timelines because there are multiple timelines.
Right.
I mean, that's certainly one. And so after y'all kind of decide what you wanna chip away at, then we do need to talk about timing and how quickly we can get our feet under us and get going on this one. So I wanna, don't let me lose that question because that's a big, big point. Okay, Robert.
Yeah. Okay, so Bex, you see all the items listed there, any questions on any of those?
There was a lot of stuff.
Pre-K
Yeah.
furniture for classrooms, all their classroom furniture?
That was
It was not, yeah,
request, not Sue.
it was a request by her, but I don't think it's in all furniture, it's not replacing all.
what we were already addressed.
We've been adding pre-K furniture as we, have added classrooms, yes, we've added furniture.
So this is not.
So I don't know if
Totally
she's
doing
just
the whole-
wanting
yeah.
new furniture or what exactly she's wanting in there.
So, tricycle track
Yes.
painting, didn't Beef do a $5,000 grant to have that painted the first time?
Circle back.
Someone did, I know, I remember the lady who
Cause they
came
had
out
a
and
Beef
painted it.
logo on the track.
Yeah, no,
Oh, they
that
did?
is correct.
So, actually, I met with, one of our painters yesterday, and he feels that he can do it. He's pretty good, he's got a little artsy side to him, so, he says, you know,
Snaps.
if I could have this for like 10 days and nobody on it, I think I could repaint this thing. So that's
Okay.
probably an in-house project.
Now, of course, that shade structure, I'm sure they would love to have that,
Mm.
but, you know,
Okay.
we might split those,
So let
painting
me-
it and
let
a
me
shade
ask you a
structure
question
to
real
two
quick.
different things.
We have the priority colors, the yellow and green colors. If we, cause I've looked through all this and they all make sense to me, and I'm kinda like what Robert said, I mean, there's not much difference between yellow, green, and blue, really, when you start looking at some of it, but do we have the money if we were to approve all the yellow and green right now?
Well, let me answer that by taking you back to this sheet. And at the bottom, on the second page, you can see that, the total for tier one is $2,003,832. The total for tier two is $998,000. That totals $3,001,927. We were actually gonna suggest that, we take a budget amendment forward and move money from the past budget, the 18-19 budget, because we're gonna have fund balance to the tune of something like a little north of probably $7 million. And so we'd like to move 3 million of that into a capital projects fund. And technically,
one and two.
yeah, knock out one and two. I think technically we don't have to have board approval to do that, but I think for this, you know, since it really hasn't been a way y'all have operated,
Right.
we'd like to suggest.
Okay,
that.
so the 18-19 fund balance that we have left over.
Well, the fund balance is gonna be created by the revenues that have come in versus the expenditures that have been realized.
Right,
And so that's gonna create a surplus. or-
Right, so, and so I guess my question is, if we did nothing, everything here was done, we're happy with life, we don't need to build anything, that would just roll into our 19-20 balance sheet?
Yes, yes. The
Okay.
18-19 amount that we're estimating, that's
Mhm.
going to be added to fund balance.
Right,
So you'll see the fund balance increase,
okay,
and that will remain on our balance sheet for 19-20 until we finalize 19-20.
mhm,
Yes.
okay.
It just fund balance will.
Right, it carries forward, so, but that would be in addition to the fund balance that we have already calculated is gonna be on 19 and 20, is that correct?
Correct.
Cause you already have a budget and you know what your
Yes.
fund, and your fund balance is what,
Right now, it's 32 million.
okay, but how many operating months was that?
Well, we do the 20 to 25%,
Okay,
but right at the last calculation, I believe it's over the 25%.
right,
But remember, we did that intentionally.
yes,
So,
yes.
Prior to House
Yeah, we're
Bill
higher than
3.
best practices right now, I guess is what I'm
Yes,
saying.
Yes,
And we haven't realized that 18-19 fund balance of 7 million yet, so if we took
Correct.
3.5 out of it, put it into a capital expenditures, it doesn't hurt the 19-20 at all, it doesn't affect it.
Not at all. In fact, you don't want your fund balance to get too high.
And I understand that, I know there's that best practices says here to here, and we've
Yes.
always been kind of the higher end of that. But we know we've got expenditures coming up, but you've already calculated for those.
Yes,
We're not gonna wipe our fund balance out
correct.
when we open the new school.
Yes, yes, we were trying to set ourselves up for the opening of the new
Right.
campuses, but with House Bill 3, we got some unexpected, I'll just say blessing there through House Bill 3.
Right.
Because we got some extra funding that we were not anticipating.
Okay,
And so that put us in a more favorable position, because with that extra funding, now we don't anticipate having to use fund balance to help us offset some of the hard costs that we're going to experience out of general
Right.
funding with opening those new campuses. So moving this money out will not impact 1920,
okay,
and it will actually fall in line with with what we were prioritizing in terms of trying to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for the future.
okay, so there's 3.5 million there, and then it was mentioned yesterday in our meeting that we have some old bond money sitting out there that we've gotta do something with.
But we think, that's the 2012, we think that with the orchestra, that will fully extend
Yes.
that.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about that,
No.
we don't have to worry about the arbitrage and all that, that money will be utilized, okay.
You approved that.
Yeah, I remember we
You also
approved it.
approved the additional above and beyond the 2012 bond to come also out of general fund
Right.
balance
Right.
For the orchestra.
for orchestra.
Yeah.
So we we
Yeah.
will move that also.
But that does clear
projects.
our, I hate to say it this way, but it
Yes.
clears our balance sheet from the
Clears our
past,
balance
so that
sheet.
we're working forward with knowing what we've got.
We will only have the 2012 authorization left, which is split into two funds.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
You know, the other one that we don't know yet is you're accruing interest every day through the 2017 bond.
Right.
And we don't know what that will be, but you will have probably several $1 billion of interest in there, so you have funding to do this.
Exactly.
It's very encouraging.
Kind of, they give you just a little different explanation than you did. Your 18-19 budget, will show $7 point something million surplus.
Right.
That potentially rolls into fund balance. So if you take 3.5 of that, you still have almost 4 million that's gonna roll in anyway.
Right.
You couple that with, where we are in terms of number of months of operating expense that you already have in fund balance, and you couple that with the 1920 budget, which has, $6 million of contingency in there that was anticipated for growth. You're fine.
There's 10 million right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're good. So-
Okay.
Well, I had a couple questions. Back here, building the new high school, are we not gonna eliminate some of the CTE space needs whenever we're taking some of those kids? Or we are having CTE facilities at the new high school, right?
Yes.
Culinary arts, shop, the whole deal. Is that not gonna help with that?
Your issue isn't capacity, it's old.
Just old.
So, it doesn't matter how many kids are in there, they just have really subpar
We
facilities
just need to revamp everything.
in multiple areas, from culinary arts to
Health science.
the videotech, to the building trades.
Well,
Absolutely.
you know me, I'm 1,000% behind our CTE. I don't think every kid needs to go to college. It's a
No.
blessing that we have such a good program as we do. We've got kids that are out there having great jobs and don't have to carry around student debt the rest of their lives.
So
I'm a
what we
big
don't
fan.
know about the CTE, because it does envelop, more than, there's a lot of programs that fall underneath it. And you said, are we gonna alleviate? That's been one of the questions, because a lot of the teachers are friends of mine at CTE, and that's been posed to them as well. Once you lose all this space, I said, here's the deal. In a welding class, you have space for 12 people. That's just a number, but he said, we're capped out. So am I really gonna be down to 6? I don't know, because when they open up the new school, there may have been 10 people waiting in line that never could
That's
get into that
exactly right.
class.
That's exactly right.
And
Well,
so
these
we may
caps-
stay at capacity
Absolutely.
even when we move over there.
But what Robin said was it's really not capacity, it's.
Right, it was not
quality
just that, it's also,
Facility.
it's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not bad, I'm actually in them quite a bit, but they are extremely dated. If you were to go into other ag mech programs across the state, you'd look and say, we do some good work, but this is some pretty old
Well,
equipment
and
and stuff that
equity
we've
with
got.
the new high school
Correct.
between the two, I mean,
Well, that's something that I remember when I worked in Killeen, that when one school got something, they all got something. You know, anytime something happened at Ellison, the other three got something, so yeah, we do need to think about that
Yes, you do.
we need to bring this older stuff up to,
No.
we're all proud of it too.
That's right. You don't want the haves and the have-nots.
Mm-mm.
No way.
So
No way.
I've got a question, Robert.
Mhm.
If we're at the 3.5 million, if we take all of tier 1 and 2, that was right at $3 million.
Right.
And then did you just want to find a way to kind of pick out another 500,000 out of the tier 3?
Well, again, since our pricing's a little bit soft on some of those items, like the technology stuff.
Right.
It could be that we'll use every bit of the 3.5.
Just doing the tier 1 and 2.
Right, it could be, or we could also begin to carve in on tier 3.
So would it be,
I mean, $3 million of work is a lot of work
that is a lot of work.
It's a
to
lot of
get
projects.
accomplished.
And a lot of it is
in
in-house from what I can see on
It is.
project.
tier 1 and 2.
It's in-house and it's 50/50 subbing and out and, or 60/40 or whatever the solution needs to be.
Well, last summer, Coach Morgan took me around the soccer weight room, or y'all went and refurbished that, y'all did all that in-house, y'all did a fantastic job with that.
Turned out nice.
Y'all did a great job, so I feel comfortable, anything y'all were involved in,
Yeah.
in-house, we're
Well, thank
good.
We-
I have a
good
question
folks.
about furniture, cause I was tasked with, replacing all the furniture at Southwest and Miller Heights and then developing a standard, and so, I know at one point in time, the discussion was, once we get those two campuses, then, I walked all the other campuses, so, Leon Heights was in the discussion to be next, or some of the furniture we took out at Southwest, you'll find at Lakewood and Sparta. And then also, like Belton Middle School was a concern because it has different furniture than the other 3 middle schools. So I don't know if that's in here, or if
Not
that's.
so much, I mean, it's not that there's not gonna be any items related to furniture, but we tend to just steer away from furniture
Okay.
requests.
Yeah. And how going forward will things, and I'm asking this because I don't understand, and we haven't had a facilities committee, and so it is new. As things become needed, or, how do they get added to the list so that the facilities, it gets back on the radar, I guess is how I'm saying it. The air conditioners only got noticed because someone mentioned something to Ty. How do things get added to the list to be prioritized? Is that
Yeah, with this committee thing now.
right?
Well, we haven't discussed it. Let me throw some things out for you, because I've just worked with facility committees before. You can do it in multiple ways. I would suggest as a school district that there be a walkthrough every year, because there's just items that come up every
Right.
single year. The second part is, when I was in Temple, we used to take the facilities committee and we'd go out and look at buildings, and y'all have done some of that before, but we did that on a pretty regular basis to kind of see what's out there. And we didn't go to every building, but we went to those hot spots, and there's certainly hot spots in here. So that was another way to really identify things that, maybe be on the fence, but when your board sees it, they go, no way. And I know that you had said that regarding, I think, the old locker rooms.
Mhm.
So you can do those two things. And then always, another way is when people, if you see things, hear things, bring it to the committee. And we continue to update that list. This should be a working document. You hear that term a lot, but it should be. It should be an ebb and flow, and as things come up, they should go on there, but it should always be in existence. I told you before the importance of strategic planning. This is the beginnings of strategic planning. This is the beginnings of, we're gonna do this now, we're gonna do this in a year, we're gonna do this on a future bond, this is what we can do on that bond, this may be for the bond thereafter. But that's the part of that strategic planning. So
Yes.
that would be my answer to
Okay.
that.
And for the board, it's very important when you have a question, like Ty's had questions about AC and gyms, just to be able to say, we are looking at that, and here's where that's fitting in the timeline that we're thinking it could be done. That's very helpful for board members who,
Yeah.
we're not on the inside, we're not on the campuses, we can't see that, all we do is hear people tell us stuff. And so, when we're trying to gather information, it's very useful to be able to see
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. I was so happy I sent you that email. I was grinning the whole time I was reading this list. Cause the other lists that we'd been given the last 2 years were real broad. I mean, there wasn't much on the lists. And I never could figure out if we were ever gonna get anything done on any of them. I even had a meeting with Jennifer and Dr. Mueller and just saying, just explain to me how this all works, the money, where it's at. Cause in my mind, I thought we had money, but we were worried about some things, and I get it with the house bill stuff. But this is gonna do an amazing amount of stuff for our teachers and our staff and our kids.
Yeah.
And the safety, those focuses, to me, that's unparalleled. We gotta take care of that. Something that was in blue I noticed earlier was the security at Belton High
I saw
School.
that same thing, and I was gonna ask
I
about that.
think anytime you have the word security involved, it could easily move to yellow or green, in my
What's that?
opinion.
Front office security enhancements,
Yeah.
what does that include?
I didn't know what that meant.
That's a transaction window, you know, that big space out there, they
Yeah.
wanna reconfigure their office, put a transaction window there so that the public deals,
It's $50,000.
they deal with the public behind the, and then
Well, it's construction. You're-
access
you're-
All that
Well,
glass, it all has to be reconfigured, and it's all sort of storefront.
That's why we didn't push it high.
Yeah.
We didn't do the tier freeze on this, even though it certainly would be affordable, because there's only so much that we can deal with on our end at a time. And we're picking up, and I think you said this, Jeff, a huge amount if y'all approve this part. So it'll probably take, 9 months to get through all of this. And then you've got windows of opportunity in school districts that you can work and other windows that you can't. So, certainly Christmas break, if we can get everything up and running and going, we can do some really major stuff during Christmas. David will have to do some contracted services to get like painting and stuff like that, to get that done. But it will certainly get you way down the pipe. The other comment is, on your board agenda, we wanted to list it underneath the finance and operations part, because I think for a community, kind of the law on posting agendas is you post individually items of community interest. You put on consent agendas, items that don't have that much interest. We feel like this would have community interest. And so, when I worked with Connie today, we put this underneath your department's piece, both the items, even though the items, I don't know, really need formal approval, but I think it would be nice for the community to see that you said, yes, let's move ahead. And then the other part is the funding source for that.
So it would be if I'm hearing it correctly, it'd actually be two-pronged situation. I guess it would be, first would be approving, I guess we'd have to approve the formation of a capital budget, an outline, because it's a new
It's a budget amendment.
It's in the budget amendment.
budget, but yes, we'd have to approve that, and then once that's approved to the tune of 3.5 or whatever the amount is, the next motion would be to approve beginning work on tier 1 and 2 projects that are listed.
we actually kind of wrapped it all up into the budget amendment, so you're approving a budget amendment to address tier 1 and tier 2.
Okay.
But what we
Right.
did is we moved that underneath, instead of under consent, we put that under your department's, underneath
Yes.
the regular budget.
Right.
Connie let us know.
And then tier 1 and 2, would those be, those items, obviously not listed in the agenda because they're long,
Correct.
those would be available for people to see? How would we do that?
We just post them on the website.
Okay.
And we can certainly move that front office security requirements.
TDT can put it on front page of the paper, we just list it all.
Put this graph out there.
Whole page.
The whole paper.
You only got 4 pages on the front page.
My main thing is I wouldn't, I think, we all know we have to do this. We know we have the budget to do it. We don't need to be sitting on cash for no reason. At the same time, I don't want it to look like we somehow moved money over. Now we're just doing a bunch of they're not pet projects. These are things that have been building over time that we have to do.
For a long time.
Right. I don't want it, the idea that, well, we just stuck something in and we're building it now. No,
But
these are things
remember,
that have
House
to be
Bill
done.
3 really changed your financial outlook for not just this school district, but all
Right,
school
for every-
districts in
well,
Texas.
Yes.
And it freed up some money that previously would have been used for that move into Lake Belton High School, or North Belton High School, into the ability to use it now. So House Bill 3 is your magic ticket.
Can we go back to that old soccer thing for a minute? Did we actually fix that?
Yes.
For real?
It's nice.
Oh, yeah, that building's nice. Very
There's no longer just a toilet next to a locker. 'Cause that would really
It was
bother
a
me.
sink and a
Now, you're
toilet.
thinking about 2 different
You're thinking
things.
And a
Baseball,
sink and a
baseball.
toilet.
You're thinking
And
about-
sink and no
That's-
stalls,
that's
no
on this.
fires.
But what you're talking about is on this list.
Right.
They redid, remember where the old tennis courts were? when we were in high school, where that building sits on where that's what they redid last summer.
Okay.
This is the one you're talking about, the old baseball one. When you went and toured
Okay.
that, baseball had just moved out and they moved into that locker room that they redid last summer.
Right.
I never toured it, I saw
Saw the
pictures
picture.
on the
Oh.
board report, and I was horrified.
Well, that's where
And
my
then-
son dressed for 2 years as a baseball
It
player.
just, I have 2 boys, and I just was thinking to myself, oh my goodness.
But really, when they moved into it, it was a blessing for the baseball guys, because Kornblum just saw there was space available, and they didn't wanna be in the new field house. He just didn't, and they went in there and put a little bit of money in that thing, and they had plenty of space, they had an indoor hitting facility. It really wasn't that bad. Yeah, the bathroom situation wasn't great, but it really, Kornblum did a good job of fixing that thing up.
I should go see it
It'll
sometime.
be okay.
I was kinda bummed when they were moving out of it, but I know we need the space for other things.
Okay, do y'all want to move that Belton High School piece into your tier 1, 2, that 50K for that?
I will do.
You would?
Because I was thinking about that when I walked in the other day to the choir concert. You know, we're kind of vulnerable up there.
Okay, then we will do that. Are there any other items that you see?
There's one thing I had a question about, I didn't know what it was. It's something about a miracle, something in a bathroom.
Miracle method.
Miracle
What is
method.
that?
So when we go in and whether you use the term refresh or upgrade restrooms, they're all ceramic tile. The grout's old, so Miracle Method comes in, if you go out to Lakewood, we did it out to Lakewood not too long ago. They come in and they chemically clean all that, and it's a sprayed on, application. It's got a little texture to it.
Is it what we put down at Charter Oak in the bathrooms? That stuff?
No, that's epoxy.
That's epoxy. That's some
Yeah.
bad stuff
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, but next time you're out toward Lakewood, go in there and look in one of the restrooms. So we did those and everybody loves it. It looks like brand new ceramic
Oh,
tile.
okay.
And it's sealed so that it,
Yeah,
hopefully,
I
your
mean,
doesn't soak through as fast.
and it's low
I mean,
maintenance.
it is what it is, it gets in the grout and those
Yes,
kinds of
I just
bathrooms.
didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they all smell the same in every elementary school you've ever been in.
It's a uniform smell.
The stuff we did at Charter Oak, you could throw a grenade in there and
Yeah.
it will not affect that floor.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And so it's funny that you mentioned the dispensers.
Yeah.
Last year, at the very first of the year, I was at Lakewood walking around, and Michelle Francis, and she has a way of putting things, said, "Mr. Taggart, come here, look at this." And her kids couldn't
Yeah.
get through the line. I took a picture, sent it to Susan, and voila, they got new.
Yeah, because they're free from the vendor.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they
you
don't
just gotta
work.
ask for
So
them.
it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
don't
old
work.
school,
Mhm.
crank handle.
Other items that you want us to move up into 1, 2?
I noticed some things in the PAC that kind of caught my attention, because that's probably the most used thing in Belton schools. Everybody, there's something in there every day, basically. So I wondered, you know, the upgrade the lighting, you know, some of those things, the, purchase a camera crew platform. I know, you know, Fitzwater and those guys, you know, they're constantly doing stuff in there. I just wondered, you know, if we could improve life in the PAC a little bit. That was just the only other thing that I saw in blue that really caught my eye.
Well, we could, and the lighting situation,
So what does that mean, upgrade it, just to go
Real
LED
specific.
or?
well, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna do anything, we need to upgrade to LED where they can dim. Currently, because of the way the aisles are laid out and the seats are laid out, you physically can't get in there with a lift to all the locations. Right now, we have one whole row that's out just cause
There's nowhere to get to it.
you can't get
It
to
is
it.
dark in there.
Okay, I didn't see this, let me look and see what's on Sparta. Is there anything about that little parking space, because there was a little incident? Is
Which
there
part?
anything about
Oh, the
that?
handicap thing up front?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we fixed that,
Right.
Oh, did you?
yes.
Mhm.
Tell me
It's
what
been
you did.
striped and,
So, we put some signage up and we also blocked that space where,
got those bendable
yeah,
holes.
and I stopped by Chef's Barbecue and told them, don't ever do that again.
I called you,
So nobody know
got
what
his
you-
butt, what the heck are you
You
doing?
know how people did.
Yeah, but we haven't had any issues with that
Okay, good.
since
Yeah,
then.
because the fear was, because the ramp itself from the school into the parking lot only goes into that striped area, it's the only way for anyone to get into that parking lot.
Correct.
So if there was ever an incident where the school's on fire, people are pulling up, trying, and a bunch of people are blocking it, they would not be able to, but if they can't get in it, then kids can get down.
And a lot of the problem over at Sparta, you know, it's real tight, so we have, if you look at that first category 3 item at Sparta, they requested, is there a way we can get 2 lanes of traffic around that front and drop off and pick up?
That'd be good.
It's tight.
It is tight.
It is tight. If you
and
get one
people
person who doesn't wanna move,
lose
everybody
their
else is just gonna sit.
minds
You
the
know,
closer
I would
you
say-
get to the time.
I would say,
there.
yeah, easy to do if everybody drove a compact car, but you get these big dualies coming there and like, I don't care, I have 3 lanes, you're not gonna make the turn. But we're studying it. I think something can be done.
I drive it every morning, and it's tight.
It's tight.
And you get there, I've learned, don't get there after 7:20, because people get vicious.
The other thing that we may wanna think about is going back to CTE and the discussion, because right now, we don't have really anything in there for the CTE again, to spruce it up for the short term. Do y'all want us to do something?
Absolutely. I just didn't see anything outlined, you know, kind of what we would do, but I definitely think we need to visit that.
Okay.
You know, when you say need more space for culinary, where would you get the space?
Well, I don't know that we could do that one time.
Yeah, that's why I have architect out as a source, because somebody's gotta come up with a plan.
But I think for sure, you know, we can go in there and modernize some of the equipment. I know there was something in there, maybe was in the yellow or green about in the welding area.
Yeah, for
They all
ventilation.
got it.
That's already taken care of, but I'm 100% for whatever we can do for the CTE.
I just think we need to do something, because we're gonna have brand new CTE over at the new high school, and this is really old, and it needs help regardless, so I don't know what that would be, but we can ask them.
I remember in one of our meetings before discussing the 10% or whatever the extra you budget in for the schools, and hopefully you'll have leftover money, you know, you come in under cost. I know that that's happened for us at the new high school, and I remember hearing someone say something about the possibility of doing another automotive.
That's already in there.
Is it in
It's
there?
in there.
Okay,
Automotive and another greenhouse.
so okay, I remember that.
But the
When you say
ag
another,
barn,
we have one automotive, that
Yeah.
left up. Is that what, are you talking about two?
No, but
One
we
there.
approved that one, that's
Okay.
what
Right,
we
right, because it
was.
wasn't in the original plans.
That's right, we had the extra money to do another one, so
So we
we have
approved
two
it,
automotive.
that one and the greenhouse, whatever they call it.
Okay, so that's good.
now, the ag barn,
Brad has mentioned that to me a couple of
Listen,
times, that they
that's
need some
gonna-
work out there.
I'm aware, I'm out there every day.
I wondered why I
and
didn't see anything in here.
capacity's tight.
Capacity's full.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna have Lake Belton High School, and then right now, we've been able to support some FFA, like junior FFA projects
Right.
that were, spaces could be becoming limited to do that at
Right.
all in order to meet the needs of the high school.
Right.
He
It's a-
he and I were visiting last year, and he said, I'd like for you to come out sometime and just walk it with me.
Right.
That might be something when we're doing our field, to go out.
I'm out there and at 5:30, I'm there. I can take you around the whole thing. I'm
Make
there
it
every single
Make
day.
it more official where
He
he gets the
needs to-
opinion of seeing that we're gonna be behind it, cause I can just show up out there and just
Yeah.
shoot the breeze, but I think it'd be cool for us to make that a priority, cause I remembered him saying something about that to me last year.
So it was opened, I think, 5 years ago, is that right?
That sounds right, yes.
The auto tech?
The
The
ag
ag
barn.
building.
ag building out on Second.
Farm.
Yes,
I believe it was 5 years.
2014. You're exactly right.
And so the first year, because I've been out there every year, it was like, I'm not lying, there were like 12 kids out there. It was just, and then the next year, it went to about 90% capacity.
Correct.
Now, there's kids that can't, I mean, if they want to show, they're gonna have to go find some other place to do it. They don't have, there's no
There's
space,
no
which is a good problem to have, but that was, and I get that question out there from all the parents, hey, when are we gonna add another building? I was like, I don't know, I don't.
Well, maybe once we approve this round, then that can be a priority for us looking forward while we're working.
Because that was the
on
question they
this.
asked me, well, are we building a new ag barn at the other high school? I'm like, whoa, no. First of all, we don't have the, they, in somebody's vision, they're like, well, we've got land. I was like, no, we don't have land to just stick an ag barn by the new high school. Plus, I don't think the neighborhoods around there would appreciate it.
Uh,
But we own a ton of land out there.
on Second Street.
Some of it's not, where the ag barn is.
Yeah, because we
some of it's
talked
not
about
useful,
building
but
an
it's
elementary
this
school there at one time.
huge piece of land.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
we've got land out there that BISD was gonna buy at one point
Yeah.
and didn't.
So that is, I looked for it on here, but I figured I'd bring that up another time because we got enough stuff on the plate
I
here.
thought about it too.
And keep in mind, that ag facility on Second, it's sort of designed where you can add on, you can add another bay to that,
Yeah.
easy.
I would like to, maybe get a cost analysis on what that would be, so we would know.
It's just the design of, the only thing you run into there, and Hobbs will tell you this too, it is that, it is designed that way, those barns are built to where you can just keep adding. Probably one of the big things that's been talked about is the two needs that are out there right now, would be your next one, you would probably design differently, it would be considered what's called a hog barn, just has lower roof lines and all of that. Because that takes all the hogs out of that barn, now you have a barn for big animals, one for hogs, because there's totally different needs as to what you need in a barn. And then a storage area. We finally ran into that problem this year, that we've always had area to keep feed, but we don't have it anymore, because every bay is filled up, so the feed is now in the hallways. We're trying to stack it in there, so.
Do you have like a varmint problem because of that?
No, because there's enough wild cats out there that, but it is, you know, it's just, you'd have to go out there and see it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I see now, because you have aisles, and now people have to stack their feed in the aisles, because there's nowhere to keep
I
it.
would think that would be something that would be neat to put up,
And then somebody decided to drive through our fence.
I heard
Yes,
that.
I was just talking to
But you know, if you look across,
Taxpayer,
if you look across our district,
It
taxpayer.
was an
Do we ever
old-
catch them?
It was an old lady, Jeff.
She's 83 years
She
old.
Does she have insurance?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, good.
She doesn't remember doing it.
but you know, if you look across our district, you can pinpoint a lot of people in our district that are performing at a very, very high level. Brad's one of them.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah,
want
what
to
he's
get a
doing for
dollar
our
amount
district,
in
we
here
need to
of
give
what
him
we
a
go
little
up to,
What,
so that we can
Are they
know
going
what
to,
she
so her
needs.
insurance company's
Okay,
gonna pay
and then
for
I
it?
can,
Stephanie Ferguson's sort of running Spear on that right now. I
on what?
don't, be honest with you, don't know.
Getting that, the insurance claim on that gate,
I mean, she
so we can
laid
get the
it
chain
out.
down.
Okay,
You okay?
I
The
guess
lady, she
so.
hit it. Yeah, took off. I really think she thought it was her driveway.
I'll follow up with her. I know her biggest concern right now, and we're talking about, I get the item is she's worried about the ag barn because of the capacity.
Right.
And then, and I see it's on here and approved, is she's concerned about the air quality in the building. And so that's her.
I'm a little concerned about the security of the ag facility without a gate.
We've got a chain right now that we have a combo lock on, and, but if that's not gonna be a school expenditure, that's just a matter of getting the lady's insurance company. I mean, it's not, it did some damage, it wasn't horrible though, it's gonna be $1,500 to $2,000 to fix it, depending on what they charge us for the gate.
6,300,
Oh.
domestic control up in there.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's destroyed it.
So, but that's not our money, that's,
Right.
they gotta pay for that or reimburse us for it.
They will have to reimburse us for it.
So we're gonna do it and then just charge them, we're not gonna just file a claim
No, we
direct?
need to get
Okay.
it knocked out.
Yeah, we do, it's,
Because
So
it's
as
a
far
while.
as you were saying, and this is a living document that will, things will continue to come onto it, how do we as a district manage that and make sure that's being done regularly and?
Well,
And-
you as a committee, that's why you have your committee, is, this is yours, this is your baby. And so that you all look at it probably every 3 months, every quarter, and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do on our end, or if there's things that are added within that quarter, or things that you think about in that quarter, that's a good time to do that. That will give you a good checkup every year on progress. Because it should be something that you continue to progress all the time.
so when you say every quarter, but the committee will meet monthly between
Yes.
school board meetings.
Absolutely.
But it won't be as big, cause this is the first one.
That's
And
correct.
it'll just, those will be new concerns that have come up, and then, I guess, progress reports on what's going on.
Yeah, David, give us, you be at each monthly meeting? Yeah. Yeah, we can get.
And then we have some other things that will be coming your way. I mean, we've had a developer that has made some requests for some land swaps and things like
Right.
that. So, every month you're going to be getting those items that come up. And then on those quarters, when you look at this list, you'll have either a completed beside it, or in progress, or a projected date of completion. So you can truly track where all of this is going in perpetuity.
Speaking of that land swap thing, I visited with that person the other night who generously did a lot for beef that night.
Yes, he certainly did.
And so I don't really understand what he's talking about, but I guess
I went up
Dr.
there-
Ott's involved,
Yeah, I
everybody's
went up
been
there and walked
visiting.
this morning.
Okay,
And I talked to Dr. Ott as well, and so at our November meeting, because I just don't have it posted tonight, so I don't wanna put you off, but I don't have it posted.
no, that's,
But we will go into a lot of detail with that one, I will show you maps and,
that's why you sent us this.
yes, sir. It's not, developed at this point in time, so I mean, you really have to kind of trudge into the field to look and see the different places, but.
Well, guys, I'm excited. This is,
Thank you again.
this
Thank
is
you.
the
Thanks
reason
very
why I
much.
wanted to be on the school board, this kind of stuff right here.
Oh, Okay, let me ask you one more thing. I'm coming back to money.
Alright.
We're over here
Always
talking
comes
money.
back to me.
With the items that you added, and to give us a little bit of a pad, I'd like to suggest that we put 3.5 mil into that capital improvements. That gives us a little bit of a cushion. It will pick up the PAC pieces. Plus, I put a little extra in there because of the lighting that you mentioned, David. It will do the security window at the high school, and then I put 150 in there for CTE. And so Deanna, that would kind of be your target, as to what they can do with that. And as Jennifer said, was telling me is, this is gonna fluctuate, so we may be coming back for more if we get a really high, cost on something, but you will know that, and then you will make those decisions.
Well, I've been in construction long enough, and in the remodel business long enough to know what happens in remodel. So I know it can definitely turn sideways in a hurry. We call it snakes in the walls.
Yeah. Skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
Yep.
We circle back around real quick.
Yeah.
You said timelines. What did you mean
Oh,
by that?
thank you so much. Robert, talk a little, you and David both, timelines, what we're looking at after approval, how much time it's gonna take you to kind of get your feet on the ground.
Well,
so.
The items that either list like with my glass, there's several things that he can do. That subcontract work, now that I sort of know where we're headed, I can go ahead and start getting real firm numbers put together. And a lot of this work, keep in mind, we don't have to wait till summer or Christmas or whatever. Like sidewall repairs, we can work around a campus that's active and get these things done. The in-house work, I need to sit down because, I've got some good guys, but there's only so many of them. So I've got to figure out what can I knock out quick, what's gonna take a little time, and sort of schedule that out manpower. Like Bill Wessels, for instance, he's my only electrician. I can't have him in 20 places. But a lot of this doesn't require an electrician. So I've got a little Microsoft project, I can plug these activities in there and sort of manpower it up and see where we are. So I think by the next meeting, I could,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest, maybe by the November meeting, we bring back a schedule that
Yeah.
has all this
Tight
laid out.
timeline.
Not that we wait till November to start.
Correct.
right,
Just be a more accurate timeline than we have right
Yeah.
now.
yeah. So I'll go ahead and start tomorrow.
I think your
Working on
taxpayers
numbers.
and I think your staff is going to be thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How could they not be?
Yeah.
Because their project's not getting worked on first. I can tell you how they cannot be.
But you would probably say, walking every campus, that everybody got a chance to have a voice
Yes.
in this. So, that's beautiful, that's a beautiful thing. They know they've been heard.
And this is $3.5 million that touches, everybody, all the way across the district.
Yep.
Yep, I'm happy.
Stephanie has a quote on the door, and she's just gonna have to work with overhead to get them scheduled to get the gate fixed.
Okay.
For that. So she did get a quote, she said, and then she's working with the overhead door.
To get them to come out and do it. That'd be good.
Can we ask Jeff, when you're out there next time, talk to Brad and tell him what we're interested in doing and ask when we can come?
I talked to Brad and Heffernan and Vogel and Flowers
We'll just
every day.
give us maybe we can set it up to where we can do an on-site out there.
Absolutely.
It'd be neat. Y'all probably need to see it. It's like I said, 3-4 years ago, it was just wide open. We had extra bays, we had room for days, and then,
Couple
we knew it was coming this year. In fact, we have portable pens out there right now that were bought by the district just to house another 8 pigs that we didn't have room
Well, when my
for.
uncle was on school board and they built Pirtle Elementary, they had one whole wing that was empty and the taxpayers threw a huge fit. Well, guess what? It's not empty anymore.
No, it happens. Hey, it's a good thing. It's what I told the parents that asked me about. I said, listen guys, this is a good problem to have, because it means you're growing, kids are interested in your program. I said, I can take you to some ag barns that are half empty and they're never gonna be filled because they don't have good leadership in the program, the kids don't care, they don't wanna be involved. Belton's not that way.
Do they
It's a
still keep
very-
animals at the high school in that little shed area, in that little
No.
fenced area? No animals there?
The only thing kept at that high school, besides Mr. Hobbs' plants, which you're not allowed to touch, is his cat. It's not even his cat, it's the school cat. It lives in a room and it walks around.
My favorite story was my oldest son took ag, didn't really know a lot about ag. Day one, Brad Hobbs' class, he takes him out to the rabbit cage and hands my son this gigantic rabbit, like just hands it to him, and leaves. And the rabbit's like, attacking him. I don't know what to do.
Well, I I said, when I first got on board, he found me at a baseball game and said, hey, man. So
Well,
it's
we'll go on
kinda-
and put it on the list,
Yeah.
and again, we need to capture everything. We're not through tonight, though, we've done the exciting part, but
Yep.
Robert has a couple more items that we
Yeah,
need to
there's
talk
two
about.
more items real quickly. One is, just giving you an update on Lake Belton High School. I'm gonna ask for these back.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking for these back is because technically, it's kind of a security issue anytime you get into details of the floor plan of the building. That you try now, you know, used to it was never a big deal, but now they kind of keep them embargoed. So I'll share these and then ask them to be put back, you know, I'll ask them to have them back.
So you said we can't consider this?
Now, there were
Some of the lights.
certain locations here,
I'll see.
yeah.
Oh, there are some. There are some.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quickly, this is kind of inside baseball, but this is what we, you know, we have a every other week meeting at Lake Belton High School, and they update us on a number of things, and then we discuss a number of things. And this was, kind of the update today, so this is right off the press as of today. But you can kind of see, they go through and they talk about each area, from area A all the way through area L. And so you can see the progress that's happening out there. When you walk through the building, it's really looking like a school building. So you can kind of tell where you are within the building, and it's really coming along. Based on the pay apps, we're about 65% complete. I asked today, and they said we're about 65% complete, so it's rocking along.
And
We
we've got a
should
walkthrough.
anticipate being,
Mhm.
Is that the sixth?
November
Yeah,
6th.
yeah.
you know,
Coming up.
so we should be ahead of schedule.
They're definitely
Barring
ahead of
something
schedule.
that's really strange that happens. But,
I think we'll do put furniture in May.
Is the gym floor traditional wood floors?
Mhm.
We didn't try any of that newfangled stuff, it's just old school.
yeah, so do you have any questions on anything that's laid out here?
I know I mentioned this to, Mike Morgan back when he was the AD. Did we ever think about putting stands on both sides of the football field, or is that just too hard to do?
I would say it's doable. I don't think we've discussed.
It's
that.
built for it.
Yeah.
They built the lighting and everything is built so that if we ever,
Right.
and I just remember because when I was out there, I asked and they showed me, hey, yeah, the way it's built, if we ever decided we're just gonna use this as another high school field, you know, not come in and, but we need to put an extra thing, yeah, it's there, they did it to where it's expandable at that point in time.
This was just always my concern as a stakeholder, that when we went to the ball games and had to sit on the same side as some of the other fan bases, it
Right.
wasn't pleasant.
Right.
And I just thought that if we had the ability to take care of our stakeholders when they're at home, they don't have to listen to some of the things that you listen to when you're right next to the other people.
Right now it's a junior high field.
It'd be nice to stick them over on the other side, but Mike said because of staffing and because of concessions and different things, that makes it more cost prohibitive. I just wondered if that was,
Yeah, it can be done.
there's just some nights where it was really hard to sit
Or
there
I can
and
imagine.
be nice.
Well, it's just like your junior high fields now, I mean, you know, that's the way it is at all the junior high games.
They're separated.
No, they're not.
Usually they're on the same
Really?
side.
No, North Belton, South Belton,
I remember South was.
they all have one
That
set.
wasn't big enough when they built it.
One,
South
North
side.
Belton's the same way, it's the same, you got one set of stands
Wills and Curzon.
that faces the west.
Well, then I guess it's just that, it is what it is deal, but I just thought, you know,
Maybe someday.
I'm good.
I mean, we can ask if you want.
We'll just have to,
Just
And
ask.
we've got time, I mean, when it's a full-fledged, all 4 years, I think by that time we'll probably
Yeah,
have.
because
moved
remember
to
that
something
varsity,
else.
well, we only have a varsity, but they won't even be playing there.
Oh, I don't anticipate Lake Belton High School, us ever building a Friday night lights in that stadium. You know, like Colleen, they've rocked right along with Leo Buckley now, they ended up having to redo that field house, and when they did it right.
Right.
Cause you gotta come, it's.
We've got a good number of years where we had to deal with that problem. But yeah, you're right, at some point.
I don't see that. And something else that I wondered down the road, we've had so many people kind of back and forth on the mascot thing at the elementary schools. But you know we got something else coming in regards to that stadium, right?
The end zones?
I know, but it's not on the
No.
agenda, so we
Tiger.
can't talk about
Oh,
it.
we can't,
I don't think so.
it's facilities.
Yeah, but you have a posted agenda.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay, I'm out.
But I want
Now-
that too so much.
Now,
I know.
now Todd, if those are things that y'all want to
It's hard
talk
to not be
about in November, you send them to me and I'll put them on that agenda.
Oh, no.
You can do what you
I
want.
don't even wanna bring it up till the last minute. Let's get through the holidays, you know, I wanna shop at HEB on the
Tell me when you're
holiday.
ready.
Yeah.
Tell me when you're ready.
Oh my
Once you have your
God.
turkey,
Oh.
then
I'm
we'll
gonna throw
go.
my phone away when that comes out on the agenda.
Okay, and we've got one more,
Yes,
and
one
we're
more quick.
gonna go through that.
Yeah, and that's in your folder. You should find, two things. One, some text that looks kinda like this, and it has general conditions, A 201, and then, agreement, A 133. And the reason these are in there is that you can see down the right side, way at the bottom on the 201,
I was waiting for
the verbiage that is noted there is the part that says if it exceeds 50,000, if its owner's contingent exceeds 50,000, it goes to the board for approval. But, we had talked through this early on in the project, and I kept thinking, I know we talked about this, and, for the owner's contingency, we didn't think, we needed to take it back to the board. Well, under the agreement A 133, and the only reason I'm pointing this out is as you get into future construction projects, you probably want the general conditions to be aligned with the agreement provisions. In the agreement, under A 133, where it's starred, you can read that, and it shows that, yes, you have an owner's contingency, and then it goes on to state that it's spent at the discretion of the owner's representative
Without
without
additional
additional board of trustees approval.
Mhm.
And so where we ended up with these change orders, which is we're approving them and then we bring them to you to see, is exactly what the language of the contracts calls for.
Right.
Now, since you have multiple contracts, you got the 201, the 133, and they're both pretty densely packed with information. Which one kind of rules the day? Well, if you go back into the contracts and dig through those things, it actually gives you a hierarchy. So the agreement, the 133, trumps
Right.
the 201. So what we've ended up, based on Dr. Battershell's email, is exactly where we should have ended up, which is we're approving the change orders, bringing them forward for you to see. So that leads to the next thing, which is gonna be very quick. And so you see that you have 4 requests for change orders. Well, you will hear about these from the architect at the board meeting, but we've approved 2 of them. Actually, we've approved 3 of them, but one is not really it's not coming out of owner's contingency, it's coming out of an allowance. We have several allowances, and it was actually charged against the allowance, so it probably won't be talked about by the architects, because they're just using the ones that are directly out of the owner's contingency. But the $60,000 change order is for the batting cage, it's electrical and flooring revisions. And we also have one for $31,884, that is for acoustic panels materials. And I know we sat, both David and I, and the architect, I don't even know that the architect can explain it really well, but they have internal experts who are recommending this change to the fabric associated with the fixed panel soundboards. So that's 31,000.
And there was one option that was 85,000. So I said, do the 31 work? Yes, well, that's what we want.
Yeah. And then the third one that's coming out of the allowance is a software that is, allows the external door locks to communicate with Active Directory, and it's a software package. So this 6846 is actually coming out of an allowance that we have in the contract, and this will be for the entire district. So right now at Charter Oak, anytime someone leaves, it's a manual process. We have to put them in and they have to be removed from Active Directory. This will control the keys or the card reader, whether it's on or off. through active directory, which is exactly what we want. So this will apply both to Charter Oak and to Lake Belton High School, and to any place else in the district when we move to that technology. And then the fourth one that's represented here is one that we have not approved because the architects are still reviewing it. And that is, we're proposing to add some security cameras to the external parts of Lake Belton High School. And I will tell you, with security cameras, it's almost like you can't have enough. So anybody can look at those things and say, well, we don't have enough. And so that's what this is starting to address.
But there's no motion for us on this at all, even in the meeting, right?
No, we've approved these, we're waiting on the architects for the last one, the cameras, and they're working with their,
So when we redo our next, because this was all part of the same contract that we're in right now, when we redo the next major construction contract, we'll address the discrepancy. Because the discrepancy is always gonna go to the person who didn't write the contract, so it's always gonna be in favor of them.
And there is some very clean owner contingency language
Right.
that is widely used.
This was put in because there had been an issue with the CMAR from the previous
Right.
bond, and y'all know that. And so it was put in as a extra security measure.
Right.
The problem is that it didn't agree with the other language, and that's one problem. The second problem is, even though that sounds good in action, it doesn't work.
yeah, it's impossible
It
to
will not
operationalize.
work.
Right.
What it
Now-
will do is it will delay your construction projects by months and months and months and months. And I don't think that you would want to do that, because that's costly, that's expensive.
Yes.
So the intent was good, it just has a different reality to it. Okay, this meeting was on the third Wednesday of the month at 4. Do you wish to continue this schedule? Do you want to look at your calendars and let me know?
Chris, well, that's the week before Thanksgiving, the
Right.
20th.
The more
I'm good.
consistent you
Works
have,
for
the
me.
better.
I'm good.
So, okay, all right, then we will continue on this vein then, obviously not a December one, unless Ty, you wish to do one prior to the holidays, you can let me know. And then, the other thing, Ty, is I will do minutes on this tomorrow, and I will give you kind of a bulleted
20.
piece.
20.
You look at that, and then you tell me if you need anything else, and you can say whatever you want, but at least it'll kind of give you the high points from this meeting.
And that'll be what I'll give to the board,
Or
the full
talk
board
about,
in the
yeah.
meeting
Mhm.
Mhm.
next week.
You'll send an invite for the next meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
I
I will
absolutely
put it
will.
in there.
And then when I hear back from you, Jeff, we'll do an ag barn thing, so just let me know.
Sure.
A good day. All right, everything else good? You did great things tonight.
Exciting, yeah.
Thank you again.
I'm excited.
Robert, David, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No,
And I would tell you that the district has a lot to be proud of, because given the age of the facilities, they are in remarkable shape.
They really are.
And
Beautiful.
they are clean.
You need to thank the custodial and maintenance
Right.
departments and grounds, because you have a first class, all three of them, absolutely.
Well, there's something that is motivating them to take ownership of their jobs and see it as something to be proud of, and so
They're
I think that
great.
speaks highly of them and also all of the people that are, their supervisors as well.
Do you wish to adjourn it? Okay, we're adjourned then.
Thank y'all.